Welcome back to our lecture series in circuits and networks. So in last class or in some of the last classes we were discussing how we can use okay transient RLC problem. What you mean by transient? It's switching. If you have a switch, then if you are closing that switch at t is equal to 0, it is representing some disturbance. So your response will not be steady state, it is oscillating. So such an analysis is known as transient case. So switch is there, you should understand it is not steady state. If in the circuit, if switch is not there, it is a steady state problem. Don't need to write the differential equation, no need to convert it to Laplace domain. Such things are not needed. You can directly solve that problem by using J operator. 8.4 Henry should be converted to, suppose it is an AC problem, you have to convert that to 8.4 into L omega into a J operator. Like that, capacitor also 1 by C omega with minus J operator. Like that, if it is a DC problem, no issues of inductor and capacitor. But if it is an AC problem, you can solve like that. But in switching, if switch is there with DC also, we are considering it as a disturbance or oscillation due to the action of switching. So with DC also, with a switch, we have to consider transient analysis because the source is not more a constant steady source. It is a source with some oscillations. So transient analysis we are discussing in detail in many of back classes, and we found that there is transient analysis. There is two methods for finding its solution. First method was writing differential equation from KVL and finding its solution using conventional method. Solution with conventional method. On the other hand, you can apply Laplace transform. So in the second module, we did this analysis where integrating factor is determined. We will find the residue A by putting I of 0 in I of t, and we will equate with initial condition and we will find the complete solution. That is the conventional method. But in Laplace transform method, there is two sub methods. Actually, both these methods are same. One method, you have to find differential equation, you have to write differential equation and then convert to Laplace transform and then take inverse Laplace so that you will get I of t or V of t. In this step, you will get I of s or V of s. On the other method, differential equation is not needed in this method. Convert equivalent circuit in time domain is converted to S domain or Laplace S domain, and then KVL is written so that you will get an equation in S domain equation. Then take its inverse Laplace so that you will get I of t or V of t. So this area is detailedly covered in second module, and this area is done in the third module in last few classes. And this was also explained while I am doing the derivation of RL circuit. Please check in your previous class of third module where we are applying Laplace transform. Initially I applied this method, and then on that class itself I suggested you this is the easy method, and we switched to this method. So this is a brief recap how the things are like, how the things you have to analyze, you have to understand conceptually before doing the problem. So don't jump directly into a problem. By seeing a problem, you have to check, is it a switching problem or is it a steady state problem? Is a switch is there or not? Even though switch is there, it is a AC source or DC source, and you have to select which is the easy method, like that. So in the all previous classes, it were just RL, RLC, RL, RC, RLC circuits with some switches. You can use this method, this method, this method, whatever. But now we are switching to a new area where mesh analysis is needed. Mesh analysis is needed to solve this problem. But everything is same. You have to convert equivalent circuit from time domain to frequency domain, and then you have to write the KVL, then you will get an S domain equation, then you have to take its inverse. Everything is same, but your aim is not to find some current or voltage. Your aim is to find the mesh current I1 and I2, because mesh analysis is needed. And this mesh analysis is not as simple as that your mesh analysis in steady state DC. In steady state DC it is very easy, but in transient DC we have to consider these inductor and capacitor such components. So definitely you will get some L di by dt such things in your equation. So you can use this method or this method. Which method you want? If in this method, initially you have to write the differential equation and then you have to convert into S into I of S, like that. Or if this method, no need to write the differential equation KVL. You can directly convert these components into S domain, so that the differential equation confusion is avoided. So I am using this method to solve this problem. Okay, so this problem is a problem in which mesh analysis is compulsory. In question, you will be asked to find these mesh currents. In our syllabus also, there is a sample question paper. In your KTU syllabus, you can see a sample question paper. In that question also, in that question paper, one of these questions is there. Like, I think it's a 3-loop question. It is a 2-loop question. There is a 3-loop question. You have to find I1, I2, I3, like that. So this is an important area. And mesh analysis, everything that you learned in the previous section is same, but you should be careful about mesh analysis. Okay, so I am directly moving into the problem. Okay, so this is the question. A DC voltage is applied suddenly at t is equal to 0, because at t is equal to 0, from the position of switch we know that at t is equal to 0 the switch is going to be closed. So at t is equal to 0 the switch will be closed and this DC voltage is suddenly applied to the circuit. So it is a transient problem or a switching problem. Assume initial energy stored in the inductor is 0. In these inductors, no initial energy is stored because the switch is initially open. It is open for a long time. I don't know what was the condition before that closing, because it is open for a long time. In such problems, generally energy stored in inductor will be 0. But if the switch is closed initially and at t is equal to 0 we are going to open, then definitely initial current will be there, because already the circuit is in steady state, switch is closed. So inductor is replaced by a short circuit in steady state. And then at t is equal to 0 switch is going to be open, so that we will get definitely we will get some initial current. But in such problem, generally they will give you initial energy stored in the inductor is 0. So find the expression for I1 and I2. So let it be I1 of S and I2 of S. Let me apply KVL in the first loop. So this is the direction. Arrow mark entering at negative initially. So before that, all the initial conditions I0 is equal to 0. Initial current is 0. Only inductor is there, so no need to think about initial voltage. If capacitor is there, we have to calculate initial voltage. Now I am going to transfer this circuit to its equivalent S-domain circuit. S-domain or frequency domain equivalent circuit. This circuit is always drawn for t greater than 0, and in that we are having provision to add initial condition. So this will be the source, and source is a function of time. So its Laplace is 1 by s. That is, Laplace of u of t is 1 by s. Like that. Do you have any confusion how you are transferring 360 to 360 by s? If it is a constant, like a resistor, we have to take it as that constant only. But if it is function of time, that's why every voltage source we are representing. If it is a 5 volt source, it is nothing but 5 into u of t. It's a function of time. For all time, it is 5 volt, like that. So it is 360 volt into u of t. It is a function of time and it's a constant value. So as it is u of t, we can convert it as 1 by s. So like that, 360 is converted as 360 by s. And switch is closed as t is greater than 0. And we are having an inductor. Its initial value is its value is 8.4, and as it is in S domain, we have to add an L is represented as Ls in S domain, and no initial current. If initial current is there, I have to draw like this. I have to connect a voltage source also, and its value will be I0 into L. But in our case, initial current is absent, so no need to connect a voltage source. And resistor, it is not a time in varying thing, so its value will be same as that 42 itself. And then I have to connect a 10 Henry's inductor, so it is 10 into S. No initial current, so no need to connect a voltage source. And then this is 48 itself. Circuit is over. Now I1S and I2S. So this is the time for applying. Mesh analysis. So I am taking loop 1. Loop 1's KVL. What will be the equation? This arrow mark is entering from negative side. It is clockwise. So minus 360 by S, and the current is going like this. So this terminal is marked as plus and this terminal is marked as negative. Plus 8.4 S into I1 of S plus minus plus 42 into I1 of S and some I2 of S also passing in this one. It is common for both these branches. So I1 of S is entering at plus and I2 of S is entering in minus. So you have to take 42 into I1 of S minus I2 of S. That is equal to 0. So now you can rearrange these things. So now I am rearranging this equation by combining all I1 of S terms and I2 of S terms together. So for I1 of S, there is an 8.4S and 42. So 42 plus 8.4S into I1 of S plus For I2 of s, it is just, minus 42. Minus 42 into I2 of s is equal to, taken to right side, plus 360 by s. Okay, let me do one thing. No problem. You can do like this. Okay, this is 360 by s. This is the first equation. Now I am going to write the second equation. Apply KVL in loop 2. So in loop 2, we can see this is the loop 2. So this will be the direction, because we are assuming this loop direction. So plus will be here because current is entering at this terminal. Here it is plus, here this is plus. So what will be the direction? I2 of s into 42. 42 into I2 of s, but this branch is common for these two loops. So we have to take I2 of s minus I1 of s plus 10s into I2 of s plus 48 into I2 of s is equal to 0. Now please rearrange the terms in terms of I1 and I2. So for I1, here we are having only one component, that is minus 42 into I1 of s, and for I2 it is 42 I2 plus 10s. So 42 plus 10s I'm sorry. For I1 it is minus 42 I1 of s. For I2 of s, we are having a 42, a 10s and a 48. So 42 plus 48, this will be equal to 90 plus 10s into I2 of s, that is equal to 0. This is equation number 2. Now we are arranging these two equations in matrix form. From equation 1, which is the coefficient of I1s, that is 42 plus 8.4s. What is the coefficient of I2, that is minus 42. In the second equation, what is the coefficient of I1, that is minus 42. What is the coefficient of I2, that is 90 plus 10s. Into matrix multiplication, I1 of s and I2 of s. If you do this matrix multiplication, you have to get the equation 1 and 2. So the result will be right side. What are the right side of equation number 1? 360 by s. And what is the right side of equation number 2? That is 0. So this is the matrix arrangement. Now we have to apply Cramer's rule. To find I1 of s and I2 of s. According to Cramer's rule, I1 of s is equal to, okay, we will do it on the right side because it needs some more space for doing it very clearly. So you please keep this matrix with you. I will rub all the rest things and then we will apply Cramer's rule. So now it is time for applying Cramer's rule to find I1 and I2. For Cramer's rule to apply, this is the base matrix. So delta we need to calculate, delta 1 we need to calculate, and delta 2 we need to calculate. First of all, what is delta? Delta is determinant of the base matrix. First we can do that. Then I will explain what is delta 1. So delta is determinant of this matrix, that is we have to cross multiply like this and minus of this. So 42 plus 8.4s is multiplied with 9 into 90 plus 10s minus 42 into minus 42. So you take your own time to open these brackets and solve it. You will finally get 84 into s square plus 14s plus 24. And if this is fractionalized, it is s plus 2 into s plus 12. Is it okay? 2 into 12, 24. 2 plus 12, 14. So delta is equal to 84 into s plus 2 into s plus 12. So delta is obtained. Is it clear? You can do this yourself, because this is simple mathematical steps. So I am not sparing time for doing that. And delta 1. What is delta 1? Delta 1 is nothing but just a rearrangement of delta by replacing the first column with I1 of s and I2 of s. Is it okay? So not with I1 of s and I2 of s, with this right side matrix. So 360 by s is given instead of first element, and for this element it is replaced with 0. Remaining elements of base element is just same as that, minus 42 and 90 plus 10s. Now find the determinant. So the base matrix is modified with this right side matrix. Now find the determinant. So this will be, okay, we are initially cross multiplying like this. I'm sorry. We are initially cross multiplying like this. So 360 by s into 90 plus 10s minus, if you are cross multiply like this, you will get 0. So you take 10 outside, then you will get 3600 by s into 9 plus s. This is delta 1. Okay, now we can calculate delta 2. Okay, now I am writing del 2. Del 2, we have to rearrange the second column of base matrix with the right side matrix 360 by s and 0. That is replaced. Remaining portions of base matrix is same. So this is delta 2. So cross multiply for finding determinant. First term will be 0. Second term will be minus 42 into 360 by s. That will give you 15120 by s. That is the value of delta 2. Now we have to find I1 of s and I2 of s. So this is the step you have to by heart. Delta 1 by delta will give I1 of s, and delta 2 by delta will give I2 of s. Whatever may be the variant I1 of s, I2 of s, or V1 of s, V2s, whatever may be, you are doing the same practice. Then I1 of s or V1 of s, what is the element in this matrix? This is the base thing. What element in this matrix will give del 1 by del, and what in this position will give you by del 2 by del. So I1 of s is equal to del 1 of s by del 1 by del. So I am just substituting del 1 here. It was there previously, and del. These things are already obtained. So I am just substituting here. So just divide. It will give 43. So 43 into s plus 9 by s into s plus 2 into s plus 12. Okay. And for I2s, it is del 2 by del. So del 2 is 15120 by s, and del is this thing. So please do the manipulations. Then you will get 180 by s into s plus 2 into s plus 12. Just you have to do the division of this constant and this constant. Okay, now you got I1 of s and I2 of s. So this is the time to find I1 of t and I2 of t. I1 of t is nothing but Laplace inverse of I1 of s. Similarly, I2 of s will be Laplace inverse of I2 of t. So for this complicated thing, for finding Laplace inverse, we have to apply partial fraction. So that is 43 into s plus 9 by s into s plus 2 into s plus 12 can be rewritten as a by s plus b by s plus 2 plus c by s plus 12. Okay. Okay. So now I want to find the A, B, C terms. Then I can easily go to the find the L inverse and I can find I1 of t. Okay. Okay. So I have written all the steps of partial fraction for I1 of s. So this is the expression for I1 of s and this is the partial fraction steps A by s, B by s plus 2 plus C by s plus 12. For getting A, I have to multiply all the left side with s and put s is equal to 0. A is equal to all the left side is multiplied with s. So this s and the new s will get cancelled. So it will be 43 into s plus 9 by s plus 2 into s plus 12 because this s is get cancelled. This is the step. A is equal to I1 of s into s, but s is equal to 0. So put s is equal to 0. From where I got s is equal to 0? From the denominator of a. So it will become 43 into 9 by 2 into 12, which is 16.12. That is the value of a. And for the step of b, b is equal to I1 of s into denominator of b, s plus 2, and put s is equal to minus 2. How I get minus 2? From the denominator of b. This is the step. 43 into s plus 9, and in the denominator s plus 2 will get cancelled into s plus 12. S plus 2 in the denominator is get cancelled by this multiplication. And put s is equal to minus 2. Put s is equal to minus 2. So this will become 43 into 7 by minus 2 into 10. It will become minus 15. And for C, similar step. I have to multiply all the I of s with s plus 12 and put s is equal to minus 12. So this will be the step. 43 into s plus 9 by s into s plus 2. Where is the s plus 12 in the denominator? That is cancelled by the multiplication of c. And put s is equal to minus 2. You will get minus 1. So A is equal to, so I of s is now rewritten as A is equal to 16.12 by s plus B is equal to minus 15 by s plus 2 plus C is equal to minus 1. Minus 1 by s plus 12. So now it is easy. What is I of t? Take the Laplace inverse transform. For 1 by s it is 1. So 16.12. For 1 by s plus 2 it is e raised to minus at. So minus 15 is constant and e raised to minus 2t. Minus 1 is constant. S plus 12. 1 by s plus 12. E raised to minus 12t. E raised to minus 12t. This is the expression for I1 of s and I1 of t. On the same way, with the same partial fraction, you can find I2 of t. I am not doing that for the time being. You can do, because expression for I1 of s is already obtained. You can convert that also to the partial fraction form and apply partial fraction. Find A, B, C for I2 of s. Write like this and find the inverse transform. Same step you have to apply for finding I2 of t. That I am leaving for you as an homework. So, hope you enjoy this video. We'll meet in the next class. Thank you.